Troublesome times are here, feeling in touch with fear. Freedom we hold dear, now is at stake. Humble your hearts to God, save from the chastening rod. Seek the way pilgrims trod, Christians away. My Jesus is coming soon, morning or night or noon.
Thanks for joining us. Today is going to be a very special show because we got a first-time guest here, and it's JadeDickson. And ladies, Jade has got a story that is either going to relate to you or someone you know. And Jade, we're glad to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, the way this works is I'm the host, you're the guest, and people want to hear you talk.
Okay.
And they don't want to hear me talk, and everybody tells me you're a talker.
I am. I can be.
You, in the earlier part of your life, at some point in time, you were a professional model. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Well,
yes, I did.
You and I have a lot in common, okay?
Of course we do.
And you're a person that loves the Lord.
I do love the Lord.
And you've got a purpose in life, but you've had some difficulties in life, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
Now, if I get to asking questions that I'm not supposed to ask, you just say, I don't want to answer that. Okay?
I will do that.
My goal here is for you to be able to share your story.
Okay.
And I want to get your heart on the camera because you're special.
Well,
I already know that because I know the people that recommended you come on the show with me. But I want it to be a fun experience for you. I don't want it to be a bad experience.
Exactly.
Okay?
Sure.
What we want to talk about mainly is your battle with cancer and all the things that happened to you during that process. Is that right?
That's right.
You are a cancer survivor.
I am a cancer survivor, among many other things. But when a lady hears the word cancer, or anyone hears the word cancer,
it's a scary thing.
It's overwhelming. Because when you start meeting with different surgeons, oncologists, anesthesiologists, whoever it may be, you're all of a sudden in a club that you don't want to be in. And as I call it, it's the cancer bubble. And when I first heard the word cancer, I thought, well, I'm eating healthy, I exercise, and I thought I would be the last person that would have cancer.
I want you to try to describe this to me, and because I've known other people that been where you are.
Right.
I've been blessed. My mother passed away with cancer many years ago. But what happened in your mind? This has always intrigued me because I'm preparing today that they walk in and they tell me that I've got cancer. I'm trying to get some identity here to say, okay, here's what I do now, 1, 2, 3. What did the great see? What did that impact when they tell you you've got cancer? What was your next thoughts? How did that hit you?
You fall into a road that you're not prepared for. It's as I had said earlier, very overwhelming, and you're just you feel like you're at their mercy, and you don't really know when they ask you the different questions of these are the options that you have, and you feel like a lost sheep.
Do you have a history of cancer in your family?
A small history, yes.
Small history, okay. All right, now you had breast cancer, as well as diagnosed breast cancer, and you're a model.
I was a model.
Were you a model when you were diagnosed? Or?
I was not.
You were not?
No.
Okay.
I was actually a massage therapist, clinical, and I worked with 4 different doctors, and so I was in hospitals at the time, so I feel like God was preparing me, actually.
That was a step in the right direction.
It was.
You were familiar with that environment.
I was very familiar.
I would think that'd be very helpful.
So I had worked around with people that had catheters, ports, all different types of things that may be new words that you've not possibly heard before. And so in that way, it was a blessing that I was able to work with Vanderbilt and Baptist and St. Thomas and different hospitals and oncology departments, and go into the hospital room and see what was going on as people were just dwindling away, and they didn't have positive touch because everybody that came at them usually had a needle in their hand. And I was blessed enough to be able to go into the rooms and have the lights turned low, and just if it was just to massage their hands or their feet or just their face, just something.
Foot massage. I've never had my feet massaged. I bet that would be fun. I bet that would be good. That'd be great. Yeah. And that's what you did?
I did. I did that
Made a
for
living
13
doing
years.
it.
I did. Yes, I did. I had over 400 clients. Yes.
That's a lot of rubbing and twisting.
Yes, it is. There was many evenings I wanted to relax and think I'd like to have my feet rubbed.
What about your carpal tunnel? You have a carpal tunnel?
I don't have carpal tunnel, but with the aggressive chemo treatments that I was given, then I now have neuropathy in my finger, so I'm not able to do that.
Now, what is that? I don't know what that is. I've heard of it
It's a
before.
burning and tingling in your, it typically starts in the feet, but I was fortunate enough not to have it in my feet, but it is in my hands, so I am limited at certain things that I can do.
I want us to get back to cancer here and come back to some of that, because I think that touch, there's something in a touch and in relationships in God that takes places, and we may get a chance to talk about that if we have time, because you've seen it happen, I'm sure. We've not talked about this before, but I'm sure you've seen it happen, because we are creatures of love, and touch can take a very depressed person and make them bring their life, make them feel purpose, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, you've heard that you've got cancer. You're married.
I was.
At that time?
I was married at the time,
When you got the word, you were married?
Correct.
Right, okay.
Yes.
I'm setting the stage up for all the battles you had to fight.
Right.
Is what I'm trying to do.
Yes.
And if you don't want to go there on any of this stuff, you say, I don't want to go there, and I'll come up with something else.
We're
go a
okay.
different direction.
We're okay. We're good.
What did you do then? After you got the word, ooh, the big C, okay, and you felt like, I'm in a bubble, what else happened?
Well, you start just going through a series. You actually get a cancer schedule. That's not what they call it, but once you start going down that path, then you're scheduled just weekly. It's almost like you have a new job, and it's not one that you desire at all, and the pay isn't good at all either. But once you get in that bubble, it's a journey, and it's a path that you soon are just pushed in, and you start just going down that road, and it's almost like everything else, you're in a daze. Because when I was diagnosed the first time, it was a misdiagnosed, and the second time I actually found it, and I just felt like that God showed me that, because they said, when I went to the second doctor, she told me, she said, 6 months now, you would not be here. And it was a fast-growing cancer.
And it was misdiagnosed the first time?
It was, yes.
Well, that was a strike, wasn't
They
it?
said it was a cyst, and they said, go home, don't worry about it. So that's what I did. I kept on exercising and eating healthy. And
had you always eaten healthy?
Not when I was a child.
I look at you, I figure you did.
Not when I was
Have you
a child.
You didn't eat healthy as a child?
Probably not. Not when I was probably hiding candy bars and stuff like that. So I don't think that would be too healthy. But I had been on I had been a personal trainer also, and then I also
was to say, you probably exercise
yoga.
A lot. Looking at you, you're probably trim, and you're
Yes.
not blessed like I am. So you believe in exercise. I've tried to avoid it.
We're all blessed in different areas. That's what makes us all so unique.
I've tried to avoid exercise. I find it so tiring. But you'd been doing exercise. You'd been eating properly. And didn't have a history or a major history of cancer, so this was real shock. You're in the bubble.
Right.
And did you ever go through, depression is what I'm going for. Did you have to fight depression?
In the early stages, I didn't, because they keep you so busy with your appointments, and like I said, it's almost like you're working 40 hours a week, because I was fighting to stay alive. And I was very blessed to be surrounded by my family. My parents stayed with me a lot, and I had an incredible church family that just wrapped their arms around me, and I could actually feel the prayers just wash over me. When there was times I thought I would collapse to the floor and I wouldn't be able to walk because I was so sick, and they were giving me the most aggressive cancer as they could without killing me. So
you really had an aggressive cancer.
I did. It was fast growing.
In 6 months you'd be gone, they said.
Right.
When you heard that phrase, this is what I'm getting to. When you heard the phrase, you got 6 months, how did that impact you in your thought process, in your faith?
I started planning my funeral. I started picking out Christian songs that I wanted played, and
what was one of them? You remember?
It is Down on My Knees, Bowed Out. It's Gaither. Right,
Those guys are good.
I'm having chemo brain right now, so
Okay, I
it'll come to me later.
Yeah, just keep living. It's going to get worse as you go
Michael
along.
English,
Okay.
Michael English sings it, and it's down on my knees, and he's saying he wants to see Jesus, and that was what I started trying to focus on, was I'm going home,
Yes.
and I want to see Jesus.
How would it be, I wonder, and you hear this, I hear you say this, and your great witness, your great faith, you going to see Jesus, wonder how much depression, how much hurt it must be for a person that doesn't believe.
I could not imagine.
That's got to be overwhelming.
To carry that burden, even as a Christian, it's a test of faith. It truly is. But that was the thing that I felt like I was in the grips of my Savior. That he had his lost sheep, not lost as far as my soul, but I was lost in this world of disease.
Yes.
And I knew that Christ was carrying me. So people would say, well, did you ever say why you, or are you angry? And I said, no. Jesus would be the last person that I would want to be angry at, because
that is so healthy.
Definitely. He was the one through people when I wasn't able to pray, and I would just say help. But there was a situation or a time that I had a dear lady, Judy Stanford. She had come to visit me one afternoon, and I told her, I said, Judy, I'm having a spiritual battle, and I said, I know that God can heal me from this. But I also know that God has given these doctors the wisdom and the knowledge to do what they can to get this cancer out of my body. So I was in a spiritual warfare of trying to make a decision. Do I stop the chemo drugs or not? And so she called me the next morning and she said, are you still having that battle? And I said, yes, I am. And so she never swayed one way or the other, and we got off the phone, and she said, well, right before we did, she said, there's someone I would like you to call, and he's at St. Thomas Hospital, and he works with people that are going through what you're going through. So we then hung up, and I went to call him, and he's a minister at St. Thomas, and the phone went completely dead. And I felt like God was reaching out to me saying, my daughter, you need to come to me. And that's exactly what I did. My hands went up in the air. I was filled with tears. And it was like, God, I need to know. I need confirmation from you to tell me, do I need to keep on doing the cancer drugs, which is adriamycin. It's called the red devil of all things. And I said, or do I need to leave this in your hands and believe that you're going to heal me? But I need you to speak to me and show me. And it felt like that room where I was sleeping, it felt like it was full of his angels. Mm-hmm. And I got really quiet, and I could hear the Lord speaking to me, and it was the Lord telling me that, yes, you've got to go down this journey. The journey's going to be dark. It's going to be long. It's going to be extremely difficult. But the good part is I'm going to be with you during this journey. And as soon as I heard that, it felt like the room just completely emptied out. The phone rang. And it was just another miracle.
It's one of those things that people don't believe. If they hadn't walked that road, they don't believe it, do they? They think you're wacko.
But that's okay. If I'm wacko, if I'm a Jesus freak, that's okay. I know what Jesus does. I know what God does in my life.
Spiritual can't be defined.
Exactly.
Cannot be
it's
described.
A relationship.
That's right.
It is. Yes.
When you went through this, you went on back to the doctor and decided to go down this road. You lost your hair.
I did.
And you've got, well, I call them street do-rags, but you have another name.
Well, that's great for the Harley people. Yes, yes.
How did you cope with there's folks watching this that at some point in time they're going to be where you're sitting.
Sadly enough,
and that's what
yes.
I want to do.
Yes.
Because our struggle is we try to stay alive. Our
right.
struggle, but our real struggle is not to stay alive. Our struggle is sin. Because
exactly.
we're not going to get off this planet. We are going to go through death to go to be with the Lord,
yes,
and we know that. But still, we have
yes.
that nature to try to survive and want to stay alive.
Right.
So I want us to. They're going to learn some things from you because you had a great faith. Now, and I want us to talk about this emotion of you losing your hair, but I also want to talk about some other things that set this thing up. After you went through your treatments,
Right.
your husband left you,
He did. Yes.
and now you're alone,
Yes.
except for the church and
Well,
God's people and family.
I'm very blessed. Yes.
But yeah,
yes.
but it's still, that's another strike. That was
Exactly.
now you've got a real excuse to go into depression.
Right.
That,
right.
But that didn't happen to you, evidently. You
Well,
was able to carry you through. How'd you get through all that?
Well, my doctor, I was very blessed with, because they said that he was not going to be taking any more breast cancer patients, that he would be working with lung cancer. And so I was blessed again with someone, a doctor friend of mine that works with patients that have brain injuries, and so he was a surgeon, but he was retired, and he said, I want you to go and see this other surgeon. And I did, and she gave me the worst news ever. She said, you have three tumors, and it's also in your sentinel node. And so I had 17 lymph nodes removed along with a double mastectomy. And once I started the chemo drug, adriamycin, and it is the type I was taking was extremely aggressive, and I was very sick. And so as I was taking,
that sickness is 24 hours now. It's not just for an hour or two, but
oh
you
no,
were sick for.
I was on 4 anti-nausea drugs, and I didn't actually physically get sick, but any just breathing, I thought, okay, I'm gonna be sick. And so I know I've probably just completely gotten off what you just asked me, but there's so much information about what you feel and the emotions.
You keep talking about this, because that's going to help somebody.
So you're not prepared. The doctor told me, he said, Jade, you are facing so many critical things at this point. He said, you're on collapse at some time. And I thought, no, I'm not. I've got God on my side, and I have a healthy team around me, and I know that God's going to carry me through this. And I still, it wasn't that God didn't, but I was still in that dark journey that God had told me about early on. And I just didn't know how long the journey was going to be and how difficult it was going to be. And actually, it didn't, the depression didn't come until about 2.5 years ago. And at that time, my oncologist had then been asked to leave Tennessee and come to go to Dallas and teach about how to find a cure for cancer, or to be able to find just designate that area instead of it affecting the entire body. And part of that was losing your hair. I lost over 20 pounds, and I just, once the depression started, I wasn't prepared for the depression, because I was a very happy person, but going through a horrific divorce, losing my job, and losing my health, I was kind of like, wow, my cup is runneth over.
Yeah, my cup's full, Lord. This time, Lord, you gave me a mountain. Yeah, I got it. Okay, now, you said that, and this is something I want people to hear, you talked about your church.
Yes.
Stepping in and stepping
Yes.
up, and
Exactly.
I think this is so righteous. I just love this.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. My husband at the time was not helping me financially, and as I had said earlier, I didn't have any income because I couldn't work. I was so sick.
Now, is this husband or ex-husband?
Ex-husband now.
Ex-husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
At this time, was he
Yeah.
husband or ex-husband?
He was a husband at
He
the
was
time.
still
Well, it depends on the definition of a husband.
I got it. I got it. I'm not going there. That's far enough. I got the picture.
But I
we'll
know
pray
that
for
there's
him.
a lot of ladies that can relate to that,
I
because
know.
when you're a caregiver, that's a huge responsibility, and that's very difficult for somebody that when you start taking care of someone, and they're not prepared for that either. And as I hear so many moms say, you don't get a book, and moms and dads that say you don't get a book on raising children. It's the same thing when you're in the household with somebody that's sick and they're fighting for their life.
And some people have the gift of being a caregiver, and
some don't.
My brother was the finest with my mother. You could look in her eyes. She hated to see me come through the door because, man, I could not do. She'd ask me, well, put a pillow behind her back, and And I'd throw her out on the floor trying, but I just couldn't do it. I tried so hard, but man, I was a bull in China shop. And, and my brother was just so good.
That's
he was
wonderful.
just so tender with her and so good, him and his wife. And I'm still indebted to them because.
Well, we'll put you in a class.
It's going to take more than a class.
Okay,
It's going to take 2 or 3
we'll
classes.
take you through a series then.
If it can be messed up, I would mess it up. Your church. I want you to talk about your church. We ain't got about 8 minutes to go. I want to get this in.
Oh, we're going to talk about Capellas too.
We're going to talk about these rags. Yeah.
Okay.
Talk about your church, then we'll get to that. What you call them?
These are Capellas.
Capellas.
Yes. This is something that I felt like the Lord was leading me to do, because as I laid there, I had designed many other things in the past, and I was trying
to. You losing your hair.
Yeah, I did not have a speck of hair on me anywhere. No eyelashes, no eyebrows. I mean, nothing. So I was as slick bald as you could be, and I was one ugly chick, I can tell you that.
I doubt that.
Oh, I was. It was scary. But one thing was a blessing. I thought, God puts steam on the mirrors, and there's a reason for it. So I would try and hurry up and get dressed. And so back to the Capellas, though, when I would try and wear wigs, it was very hot and a lot of pressure on my head. Something about chemo makes your head tender, sometimes very cold. And when I went and had my head shaved, it felt like roaches were all over my head. And so for me to wear a wig or caps, you could still tell that I was bald with the caps. And then it would come down because I had lost all my hair because I had so much of it. And then I came up with this idea with Capellas. And would you like me to put it on?
That's up to you. It's your head, it's your hair.
No, I said you.
I'm not going to make it.
So the great thing about it is you'll notice that there is a seam on the outside.
Okay.
And that will not put any pressure. The material, if you'll feel this, it's very soft.
It is.
And it's almost like a little cozy blanket.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
But it is breathable, so for those that are
is that
going
linen?
through, it's actually a blend of fabric.
Okay.
Yeah.
It feels good.
So it's very stretchy, but the great thing is you put it on your head, and when you don't have hair, then like I said earlier, you sometimes lose your eyelashes and eyebrows. And with so much going on, people didn't really realize I had lost that as well. So it's multifunctional. For those that don't, I'm going to turn around here.
Okay.
For those that
I see.
don't feel comfortable with it being long, I had very long hair. They can tuck it under and spread it out, and then it's short. And you can tie it up in a little bun, and there's all different kinds of colors and patterns. And
you design these now. You make these.
I do. Yes,
sell
I do. I sell them. I have about 40 hospitals across the United States, and there are now cancer boutiques, and it's kind of a one-stop shop, which makes it so much better for the families.
This is important. This is very important.
It's extremely important because 1 out of 3 women will be diagnosed with some form of cancer within their lifetime.
And that hair is so special to a woman.
It is. I was devastated. I didn't think that after going through all the other things that when I lost my hair, I thought, well, it's just hair, it'll grow back. But once I didn't have it, I realized what an important part it is. And losing your eyelashes, now I know why God gave us eyelashes, because it keeps all the stuff out of our eyes. So there were so many things I learned from that.
And so now, how does people get in touch with you on these things? I mean, pull out some of those colors there and let's look at it. You got some pretty things.
Yeah, and they have names. This one's Black Lace, and this is Sunburst. This one's Pink Petal. And so they're just all a variety of things. They're fun, and you can even dress up.
You make these in your home?
I do. But we can't tell the hospitals that. Yes.
Okay. How many of these things you make a week?
I've made over 2,000. I do know that. I don't know a week, but because like tomorrow I have an appointment with one of the hospitals locally, and so I'm just trying to reach out to as many ladies as possible to offer them comfort. But to get in touch with me, it is on the website. There is a website, and it's Capellas Headwear and Apparel, and it's www.capellas.com. And you will have to flash something up, because to spell that, it isn't spelled in the normal way.
Betcha's coming. Look right straight at that camera. There you come. She's going to try to zero in on that.
Capellas, I wanted something different and something
There we go.
that
We got
had
it now.
fashion. And Capellas means free hair in Italian.
Is that right?
And yes. And so this isn't hair, but it gives the illusion of feeling like you do have hair.
I've seen them on the streets.
Yes.
I've seen people,
and
I didn't realize
and it's so easy to just take this and you can crumble it up and put it in your purse and carry 2 or 3. I've had ladies that had were burn patients and they had lost their hair and go to a wedding. And so they can be dressed down, dressed up, and then you were talking about my church. Real quick.
I don't talk about the church, but what about, does men wear them? Because when I went in the military and they shaved my head off,
yes.
boy, you're talking about scary. I didn't even recognize myself. Do men wear them?
They can, yes. I do have them in solid colors, and yes, they can wear them.
See, I would have worn that when I was riding motorcycles.
Exactly.
This
is great for the motorcycle industry. This is wonderful.
Sunshine on your back of your neck when you get out west in Arizona.
Oh, yes.
Out in there and burn you up, man.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about your church, because you were struggling. Your husband
Yes.
had left you. You were overcoming cancer. You was going through all this stuff. And your church gathered around you.
Yes.
And we got 2 minutes. Tell me about your
My
church.
Sunday school class, our church has a department called the Nurture Team, and they actually fed me. And I had worked with Room in the Inn here in Nashville for many years, and now I know what it was like with Father Strobel, and I finally realized the impact of what it's like to lose practically everything. And so my church stepped in, and they paid my house note, all my utilities, and they fed me for 6 months.
See, that's what I want to get across right there.
Praise
Folks,
the Lord.
This is what, yes, you were, I can't imagine being sick and being homeless and being sick as you were. I can't imagine being sick and being homeless.
But my church didn't allow me to be homeless.
They did not allow you to be homeless. They paid your bills, and I call that aggressive benevolence. They saw that there was a need, and they went out, and they didn't ask you permission. They went out and fixed it for you.
Yes.
And what I want to say is, people, that's the way a church is supposed to be. And you say, well, my church don't do that. Find one that does.
Exactly.
And because that's Christianity, and I think that is so powerful.
It is powerful.
I'm sorry that you had to go through all the struggles you've had to go through in life, but it has presented a lesson for the rest of us. I had a dear friend that was told he had cancer, and he left the doctor's office and he was in shock, you know.
The cancer
He walked
bubble.
out and what'd you say?
The cancer bubble.
The cancer bubble, and he walked out, and Jade, he stepped in the elevator and started down, and he said, you know, they told me I have 1.5 years to live. I didn't know how long I had to live.
Right.
And before, so we don't know. So
we don't know.
So we have to make the most of what we got when we are, and that's what you've done.
Yes.
I thank you so much for coming and being our guest. I'd like for you to come back sometime.
I would love to.
And folks, if you have some questions for her, I want you to not hesitate to get in touch with us, the office, and we'll get you in touch with her.
Yes.
Because she's been down a struggle, and you're never alone if you get with the right people and you get with the right church. And I want to thank you for tuning in. God bless. I think I'm out of time. I'm not sure.
Trouble sometimes I hear, feeling in touch with fear. Freedom we all hold dear, now is at stake. Humble your heart to God, save from the chastening rod. Seek the way pilgrims trod, Christians away. My Jesus is coming soon, morning or night or noon. Many will meet their doom. Trumpets will sound, and all of the dead shall rise. Righteous me in the skies. I'm going where no one dies, heavenward bound. Well, troubles will soon be o'er, happy forevermore. When we meet on that shore, free from all care.